video last year on Dissent. It was very broad and kind of just a call to action. And one thing I haven't gone through is explaining what Dissent is, kind of what it looks like in action, right? It's great to understand the vernacular of it, the word of it, but to see it in action. One of the things that, let me see here, let me open up another tab. One of the things that I think is a great example of Dissent. We've seen, most everybody's been online or even watched the news this week has seen this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Wall Street bets. And, okay, well, it's not going to show. Anyways, they've been pushing Gamestop trade. Gamestop trades, AMC trades, a few other trades out there, and crashing the shorts, right? So I'm not an expert at all by any means. I barely have my toes in the water in investing. When they're talking about short selling, what happens is that these hedge fund brokerages, whatever, hedge funds, they borrow funds or borrow shares from a broker house or whatever, right? They'll take that big pot of shares there, and then they sell it. So they're selling somebody else's stocks. And then what they do is I'm guessing they try to manipulate the market to get that value of that stock to drop, and then they go back and rebuy it. And then that slack, the difference between what they sold it for and what they bought it at, they keep. And then they give the stocks back to the person that owns them, right? Think about it like this way. It'd be like a hedge broker coming to you, borrowing your car and saying, hey, I want to borrow your car. They go out and sell the car, and then as soon as they sell the car, they go out and hire somebody to go and damage that car pretty bad. So somebody comes back, it's that person that just bought it, says, hey, this car I just bought it, but now it's all dinged up. I want to get rid of it. And I'm like, well, I'll buy it back from you for half the price. And then they'll buy it back from you and then give your car back and say, well, thank you for letting me borrow your car. That's what they're doing with these stocks. So, and one of the things, like I saw something on there about Elizabeth Warren, and a lot of people are saying that this is like a flash mob, right? So we're seeing like the Wall Street bets, how this is really kind of blown up, and I've been following it this past week. I didn't know it existed, to be honest with you. But this guy, Deep Fucking Value, they're saying that this was kind of a flash mob, and all of a sudden it happens. I want to scroll all the way back to the beginning of this guy's history. This says 1 year ago. So when was that? That was September 8th, 2019. So almost a year and a half ago now that this guy started this. This was not a flash mob. I'm not sure if he exactly had this intent when it started. If it did, man, talk about patience. Awesome. But because he's doing this, and because there's this call to action to actually crash these hedge funds, because these hedge funds, they sold their stock, and now all of a sudden they sold somebody else's stock, and that other person is like, hey, I want my stock back. It just quadrupled in price or more. They went from like $600 to like a high of $500, or $6 to a high of like $500. That's a substantial gain. And then so whoever owns that stock is saying, hey, I want my stock back, because they want to sell it, but these people already sold it at $6, hoping that they could crash it down to $3 and then make $3 per share, and or even worse, and they just give it back to where it was like 1 penny on the share and say, oh, thank you for letting me borrow your stock, and they keep that $5.99 per share. But now they sold it at $6. It's worth a couple $100 now, even though it's fluctuating, because they're trying to limit how much they've lost. Even on the news last night, they were saying these hedge funds have lost $70 billion. This is Dissent. This is saying that this is the idea that just because you're told that this is the way things are supposed to work doesn't mean you have to agree. And even when you start seeing things for what they really are, this red pill moment, whatnot, it's almost impossible to not be a dissenter, right? It's almost impossible to not start thinking critically and think about what other things in my life have I been told that I am supposed to just sit down, shut up, color, play ball, go in the corner, and do what you're told, and so forth. I just want to hit on this because this is the application of being a dissenter. This is hitting people where it hurts the most. And nowadays, you got fame, money, and culture are pretty much the where you hit people nowadays, right? That's why you got all this cancel culture, because they're hitting you on your fame and in the culture spots, right? Or not. I wouldn't say fame, more of a defamation. And everybody's buying into it. Everybody's very much in this groupthink mentality that, oh, well, we don't want them to gang up on us. Well, now we got a whole bunch of people online ganging up on it. This is what happens when a group of dissenters gets together. You see the mobs out there in these cities, burning the cities when they get together. They're making their points known. Whether or not you agree with them is one thing, but they're getting their points across one way or another. I mean, I think it's very destructive, and especially when they start killing people, I think it's gone a little bit off the rails. However, they've congealed into an idea. Now, these people are congealing. I wish I had the spare capital. You can donate it. If you donate $1 to this channel, I'll donate it to Wall Street Bets. Guaranteed. I don't care. If you donate $1,000 to this channel, I'll put $1,000 into the GME and to the AMC. All right? Or you could just donate this to yourself to the market, right? But, you know, that would be the same thing. I would just like to report on that lifetime. But I've got no money in the game. I do like watching this, and I do like watching the action of dissent being portrayed. This is what it looks like. Remember this. And if you're ever scared to be a dissenter, find somebody else that can be a dissenter with you. Now you have two. And then you do that again, and you do that again, and you convince people. And you don't have to convince people through lying and manipulation. You convince them with the truth and the reality. If you watch one of these Thomas Sowell videos, there was a documentary. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Anyways, it was a documentary on Thomas Sowell, and one of the questions he was asked early on is like, oh, I think it was Dave Rubin that asked him the question, you used to be a Marxist, why aren't you a Marxist anymore? And he said facts, right? That's all that matters, or the truth. I think it was facts. And that's how you convince people to, is just through facts, right? You don't have to convince them through tap dancing and marketing campaigns. You show them and present them the facts. And a lot of people will fight that idea because they've been brainwashed. And it's like the food pyramid, right? We know that there are better diets out there than what the food pyramid puts out, but we've got 3 or 4 generations of people raised that the food pyramid is right, even though it's causing the healthcare crisis we have right now. But people will stick to that, and they'll stick to that to the end of their time. They'll be in there with heart disease on death's bed, sticking to that food pyramid because that's what they believe, even though that had a significant contribution in killing them. And along with probably a lack of exercise and smoking and drinking and so forth. But that contributed significantly to them. They could have mitigated a lot of health risks, especially like heart disease, by changing their diet. Anyways, pay attention to this. This is a moment in history, and this is dissent in action. All right? And it is a beautiful thing. All right? Take care, gentlemen and ladies.